go 385. 385. No tears in heaven, and no sorrow in life, and all will be glory in the land. And there'll be no sadness, and all will be gladness when we shall come and happy land. And there'll be no tears, and no tears up there, and sorrow and pain will not fall. No tears, no tears, no tears up there, no tears in heaven will be known. And glory is waiting yonder, where we shall stand in this day. Where we, our Savior, will be forever, where no more sorrow can be saved. No tears up there, sorrow and pain will all have gone. And there'll be no tears, no tears up there, no tears in heaven will be known. And someone yonder will cease to wonder, and all things his life been brought to you. And all will be clearer, and say one be dearer, in heaven where all will be made new. And there'll be no tears, and no tears up there, sorrow and pain will all have gone. And there'll be no tears, no tears up there, and no tears in heaven will be gone. Little 175, 175. 175. All day long, Jesus I sing, and He's my song until the ever be. And all the while He keeps my heart bells ringing, for His love is everything to me. Oh, He is my King, and all I really love Him. Oh, He is my King, no other is above Him. All day long, in record praise I sing. Oh, He is my Savior, He's my King. Strings of love around my soul are flowing from His heart, the everlasting strain. That is why my faith in Him I'm showing. That is why in this song I sing. Oh, He is my King, and oh, I really love Him. Oh, He is my King, no other is above Him. All day long in rapture praise I sing. Oh, He is my Savior, He's my King. It is mine, I'm going home to glory with the souls who trust His saving grace. I'm going home to sing and tell His story in the blessed sunshine of His face. Oh, He is my King, and oh, I really love Him. Oh, He is my King, no other is above Him. All day long you so much for allowing us to be here on this night. Thank you for taking us through the day's activities, protecting us, watching over us, giving us what we stand in need of, giving us health to make it through the day, Heavenly Father. Strengthen us daily with your Spirit, Heavenly Father, so that we can overcome the laws of Satan. Thank you again for your Spirit. Thank you for that portion that will help us each day when we need it, Heavenly Father. Just thank you so much for the sacrifice that made all that possible, Heavenly Father. And thank you for your Son. Thank you for the sacrifice that cleanses us of all iniquity, Heavenly Father. Thank you for this word, Heavenly Father, that helps us live day by day, Heavenly Father. We thank you for your servant Jim, who's about to bring forth this bread of life, Heavenly Father. Pray that you give him recollection of things that he's spoken, Heavenly Father. Help him to recall these things so that he can help explain these things to us in a manner that we can all understand, Heavenly Father. Just be with all of us as we study tonight. Help us to all have a spirit of understanding and taking those things in, Heavenly Father, realizing these words can save our lives, Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father, we pray for all those that are away. We just pray for those that are traveling, Heavenly Father. We thank you for bringing Mike and his wife home, Heavenly Father. We pray for our brother Hal and his friend who will be traveling back later on this week, Heavenly Father. Praying for all those that are sick here amongst our number, that are dealing with ailments, dealing with body concerns, Heavenly Father, that you heal them, give them what they stand in need of. And Heavenly Father, just be in our midst this evening as we study your high and holy divine word. In Jesus' name I pray, that's all said. Amen.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank the church for giving me this opportunity to speak to you tonight. Tonight I'll be speaking about something that's been called an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. It can destroy friendships, break hearts, wreck reputations, incite fear, discourage, exaggerate, bless you, curse you, spread hatred and lies. Tonight I'll be speaking on the sins of the tongue. As a kid, I grew up on a horse farm, and my job was to ride the new horses that were bought to be resold. The bit of the horse's mouth and the reins are supposed to control the horse. In theory, this works. But as someone who has been bucked off hundreds of times, I can tell you this does not always work. Sometimes you can pull on the reins so hard where the horse's mouth is bleeding, and it just won't stop. It'll keep running and pitching and bucking until he makes you fall. Look at what an untamed tongue can do. It's a lot like riding an untamed horse. It goes where it wants, and if unchecked, it can do lots of damage to you and other people. My wife had an experience riding horses in her younger years. She was on a cutting horse. A cutting horse is trained to separate or cut cattle from the herd. They can stop on a dime. My wife found this out the hard way when pulling back on the reins. The horse stopped so quickly that it threw her forward, so fast and hard that one hit her in the stomach. I think the cutting horse should be a good reminder of how we should be with our tongues. Learn to stop your tongue on a dime. I know it's hard. I struggle with it. I know everybody wants to try it. Bible shows how God put emphasis on sins of speech. Two of the commandments refer to sins of the tongue. I'll be going to Exodus 20, verse 7, and Exodus 20, verse 16. Exodus 20 and 7. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Exodus 20 and 16. You shall not commit false witness against your neighbor. God hates these things that have to do with the tongue, a lying tongue, a false witness that bears lies, and he who sows discord among the brethren. One of Christ's warnings can be found in Matthew chapter 12, verses 36 to 37. But I say to you that for every idle word men may speak, they will give account of it in the day of judgment. For by your words you will be justified, and by your words you will be condemned. You know, we need to think before we speak.
Yes.
I think all of us have had that foot in the mouth.
Yes.
You say the wrong thing to somebody and it comes out. You're thinking the right thing and you say the wrong thing. Sometimes it's better just not to say anything. You know, and it's hard. I mean, when you're feeling bad for somebody and you want to say something, it's just, sometimes it just doesn't come out right, you know. I've been there, I'm sure everybody's been there
Right.
lots of times. Yeah, that's the thing I know I always have to work on is thinking before I speak. I'm going to be reading from James chapter 1 and verse 19. So then, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. Could somebody pick up Proverbs chapter 10, verse 19? Uh-huh.
And the multitude of words there one not said, but he that refraineth his lips is wise.
What was the first one?
Proverbs 10 and 19. Could somebody get Proverbs 17? Chapter 17, verses 27 through 28.
He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and brings understanding is of an excellent spirit. Even a fool, when he holds his peace, is counted wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding.
Somebody get Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 3.
For a dream comes to the master of business, and a full voice is known by the master of words.
There's a lot of things on there, and I think it really relates to going back and thinking about what you're saying to people. I mean, you could hurt somebody with just one word, one word.
Yes, I gotta admit that I've been guilty of that many times.
Same.
I try to bite my tongue and hold my peace and be Christ-like, and, you know, I did that for a long period of time, but, you know, I was at odds with a friend, and then she find ways kind of like to push my buttons. And I will like not say anything and, you know, keep my peace and not respond. But oh boy, she touched on the wrong spot, which is my family. I went off on her. I felt bad for the things that I said to her, and then it's almost like I resuscitated the old man, you know? You know what I mean?
He creeped up.
Right, and the old man is like, she needs to hear all that, but then my conscience and the word of God is telling me, you should just give your mouth shut.
Yeah.
She's the one with the problem, not you. So,
Right.
Yes.
but it was done, and I apologize, but, you know, I felt bad, and I still feel bad.
How fast is that fast?
Yes, but it happened so quick.
Yeah, no, same. Shermaine?
You know, I was going to say, James 21 and 26 says, if any man amongst you seem to be religious and bridle not his tongue, he deceives his own heart, and this man's religion is in vain. So it's one of those things we're claiming to be who we are, and we can't bridle our tongue. You know, our religion is in vain, right? You know, that's one of the things that we have to learn. We have to learn patience and control. and self-control, you know? And it's a tough thing, you know, because especially, like Cecilia points out, you got people in the world that want to push your buttons and everything like that, but it's one of those things that, you know, we want to show that we're above all those things, you know, and so that we can, you know, show a better way of life, you know, so those things that, you know, we have been taught are not in vain, you know?
But we have to understand that, you know, this is a growth process.
Yeah.
Christianity is a learning process. We as Christians, we have to learn God's word, what he says about how we're going to respond to people. You know, I remember when I read the 12th chapter, a lot of times, you know, but it didn't really take effect until later in my life where I had principals who were falsely accusing me, and, you know, my superiors. And so, you know, I started talking to the Lord about it, you know, and it seemed like the Holy Spirit brought up Romans the 12th chapter. The Lord's invention is mine. I will repay. And you know what? I started meditating on that. So when this principal came and falsely accused me of doing something that I was not doing, you know, I talked about it.
That's right.
And the Lord told me.
That's right. There you go.
See, we as Christians, we use God's word the way he said to use it. And we'll be blessed by God because we are God's children. And we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
We all fall down, but don't stay down.
That's it.
You know, we have to know what God says and what he means by what he says. Not just what he says, but what is our understanding of what he means for us to understand, for us to get as children, you know. So, you know, it's a growth process, and none of us should feel bad about it because we're gonna stumble and fall. But God's gonna pick us up and help us to go forward, you know.
Well, I learned how to control my mouth. Because my mom drilled us with 7 Peter the first chapter. And anytime we got out of line, she would tell us, you ain't got no question. Or she said, go read, you know, 7 Peter the first chapter, just get it on, you know, she was drilling. And the more you know, the more knowledge you gain, and you learn. Okay, it's a part of you, it becomes a part of you. It has to become a part of you. You want to learn how to run it.
Putting on the brakes.
Well, we were on Ecclesiastes 5:3, the next verse too. When he's talking about idle words, I kind of take it to mean like anything said in haste, whether it's not even a word that's mad at somebody, but like it's talking about making a vow. And when I was a supervisor, I would always tell the therapists that were under me, don't make a promise to these kids unless you're going to follow through with it. People are waiting on it, and that's kind of an idle word. I promise I'll be there. You don't say that unless you're going to follow through, because that, and I think that is a hasty or an idle word too. We'll have an answer for that too.
Amen.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to swearing in the Bible, in Leviticus 24 and 16. And whoever blasphemes the name of the Lord shall surely be put to death. All the congregation shall certainly stone him. The stranger as well as him who is born in the land, when he blasphemes the name of the Lord, he shall be put to death. We'll go to Proverbs 10 and 18.
What's Proverbs?
Proverbs 10 and 18. Whoever hides hatred has lying lips, and whoever spreads slander is a fool. So I know everybody here has dealt with it. I deal with it at work. You've got people saying this and saying that. You don't even get on that train. Don't even get on that train.
Right.
Because it just goes nowhere, you know? And it's like, usually you see those people that are doing that and they just self-destruct.
Yeah.
They are just self-destruct.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you don't participate in that kind of stuff with them, like they kind of start looking at you a little bit different because, you know, they know like, hey, well, I'm not gonna come over here with that nonsense because they're not gonna get in there and get it kind of with you. They kind of look at you odd when you don't do it either. It's like, no, I'm not gonna get down. I'm not gonna get in that with you, you know?
Yeah.
So they start to kind of get leery of you at that point because they're like, is this guy gonna tell on me, or is he holding these things back? But it's like, no, I just don't want to get involved in that stuff. So like, don't come over with that nonsense, you know?
I'm reading a book right now, and this guy, he was around a crowd of men, and they wanted to tell him a joke. And he says, I'm happy to hear about a joke, as long as it puts Jesus more into my life and gives me more passion for Christ. Guess what? They never told the joke. They never told the joke. I stopped it right then and there. You know, these men of God.
Yeah.
And it stopped right then and there. I'm like, well, it should have been said. It should have been said. It should have been in there. All right, let me go
Can you
to,
go ahead and say that again, John?
what's that?
She missed what you said.
Oh, about, so
Yeah.
it was a preacher, and he's within a bunch of men, a bunch of preachers and other men. And one of the guys is going, tell him the joke. And so he goes, well, I want to tell him the joke. Well, he's going to tell him the joke. And he goes, I'm happy to hear any kind of joke that puts my passion towards Christ further ahead in my life. And they didn't tell the joke. So it was obviously going to be a doozy.
Right, yeah.
He just heard it right there.
So-
He was put his brakes on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he didn't even know what the joke was, but he knew he didn't want it. He
That's
knew
right.
somebody's going to be
Yeah,
like that.
okay.
All right, let me go into gossiping and talebearing in Leviticus. Can somebody get Leviticus 19 and 16?
I mean, 16?
19 and 16.
Thou shalt not go up and down as a talebearer among thy people, neither shalt thou stand against the blood of thy neighbor. I am the Lord. Amen.
Also, can somebody get Psalms 15, chapter 15, verses 1 through 3?
Some what?
1-5. Psalms 15, verse 1 through 3.
Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness and speaketh the truth in his heart. He that backbiteth not with his tongue, nor doeth evil to his neighbor, nor taketh up a reproach against his neighbor.
That's a hard, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, when they say neighbor, they talking about everybody, though, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
Oh, yeah.
You look at it, just talk about your neighbor.
Yeah, no,
It's talking about
everybody.
I'm trying to make you money right now.
And I know everybody here has had one of those bosses and you get the backfire. You get a boss that is just, should never be in that position, you know what I mean? Or they're in that position to help you shine the light on it, you know? And that's one of the things. You might be the example. You might be put there to show that what a Christian's supposed to be like. It's hard. It's hard. All right.
So did you
Yeah.
see that when they will put three things together like that?
Mhm.
That one is backbiting with the tongue, the very next one is doing evil to somebody. I mean, that's pretty, I mean, that puts it in where God, really looks at it.
Well, the older we get as Christians, the more we grow in Christ,
Yeah.
we allow the Holy Spirit
Right.
to guide us and to bring up God's word. And the situations we find ourselves in, when we're younger, we haven't learned what God has to say about it.
Right.
But when we get older and we study and we study the Bible more, so it isn't Holy Spirit's job to bring to remembrance God's word. So, the 7 Lesson how that driver, are you in the name of Jesus,
I had somebody last week, after Mike's talk. They came over into the carpool lane, all the way over to the carpool lane, passed me without a blinker, probably 5 feet in front of me. Went all the way across traffic, 5 lanes, to get off on their exit, just through the point. I just waved at them and smiled. That's all I did. I'm like, I'm working on it, I can't wait for retirement to where I don't have to deal with that anymore. But that's how I was like, what? God bless you. I hope you're getting to your destination where you're going to be.
Yeah, one piece.
Shermaine?
If you look at these things he's talking about too, I was looking at James again, and he was talking about evil, and he says, James chapter, I'm sorry, is it James or 1 Peter? I'm sorry about that. It was 1 Peter 3, and he says, finally be of one mind, compassion, be pitiful, be courteous, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. For he that loved life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no guile. So if you think about it, there's a spiritual connotation to that as well. If you want to live a long life and do his things, then don't do him evil. But there's a physical thing to it as well. Tell the truth, don't backbite, and no one's going to be happy to end your life, right? You're going to live long, right, and have a good life. So you're not going to have a lot of conflicts.
And when you're doing that, so you're teaching other people to do that.
Right.
So that's not what happens.
Exactly. And I've been in cars and people just, they lose it. It's
You're
not.
losing a soul.
Yeah, it's not fair that somebody's doing that to you, but I actually saw a highway patrolman do a brake check on somebody today. He was slowing down traffic when they do the.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Somebody came running up on him and he brake checked him. I was like, how's he gonna explain that? This guy was trying to pass him and he brake checked. I couldn't believe the guy ran up. But then, the guy, the highway patrol was upset about it. He was in 5 feet. I'm like, yeah. So I know we're seeing a lot of stuff. I've heard of several different areas. People here have told me people are trying to get in restricted areas, fences. I'm dealing with it at my work. I have no idea. So people are kind of, I don't know, they're flaking out. They're really flaking out. That's the best way I can say it.
Gas prices are high back up.
Right.
So everything.
Right. Let's talk about contentious words in Proverbs 16 and verse 32. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city.
See, that's where discipline and self-control comes in. We as Christians put on the 7 graces. We're in our conversation about this and love. We have to learn self-control. We can, and that's part of the work process.
Yeah.
I can tell you stuff. I remember as a teacher, I used to have students come to my room talk. No, not about those ones. But then, no. You have a problem with your teacher, let me know, I'll go talk to your teacher, I talk to your teacher, don't. I'll have kids talking. So that's like that, and I'll be entertained.
That's right.
You talking about an
Yeah,
adult
because
kid.
she said.
I have special needs kids in here, and I know, no, we're not doing that. What we're gonna do is, you have an issue, write it down, and I'll go talk to Mr. or Mrs. or Miss about it after class, and then we'll bring you in and we'll tell you what we'll talk about, okay? We have to set the example, be an example. And, I give up, well, you don't know, so-and-so, those teachers tend to use all kinds of profanity, but I don't. This is my classroom, I'm not learning that in this classroom, okay? It's against the school rule, it's against the district policy, it's against my classroom, you know, so no, we're gonna learn how not to use those words. We're gonna learn how to use plain English.
Right.
And that's it. Yeah. But see, it's us, we have to stand up to truth, we have to stand up for righteousness, we have to learn that. You know, and as we grow older, we need to get better at that. That's right.
I think if you think about every job, I was a chauffeur for 24 plus years. I was like a high-paid babysitter. And I was a city chauffeur today too. And I know exactly what she goes through. Exactly. And just kind of shake your head and you're like, why did I do, you know, it's
Right.
I'm not, okay, as being a construction worker, you know how it is on construction site. I ran into this one guy on the construction site, and he worked with us shoveling concrete, bending, and all he would do was preach about that.
Yeah.
That's how close we got to this guy. That's how strong he was. And being in construction,
That's rare.
yeah.
That's really rare. I mean, I have to deal with construction guys all the time. I mean, superintendents, I come on their property and they want to know what I'm doing, but I've never had anyone just
They
get in.
can't say 3 words.
Yeah, they might laugh at me because I'm in short pants, but that's about it. So I'm good with that. I can live with that. You know, we're not yelling at me. I got a hard hat, I got my glasses on, I'm good.
Just like Sister Jones is saying, we have to be the example. You never know who you're influencing until you know it. Like, you know, all my job, like I never thought, and this is just like about myself. So I know I can just kind of turn sometimes, you know. But many people in my cohort mentions like, hey, you're even temperament. You know, they keep on saying that to me. You're level-headed and this and that. So it's just like one of those things. Like you never know who is watching and the example that you're setting. Because, you know, I didn't see myself that way, but apparently the people that I work around saw me like that, you know. I'm not quick to anger.
That's awesome, and that's what they're gonna be like, why is he like that? They're gonna wanna know,
Yeah.
you know? For sure. All right, so I'm gonna go into lying. Can somebody get Proverbs chapter 12, verses 17 through 22? And stay in Proverbs because we've got a few in there all.
He that speaks the truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false. Is that right one, right?
Proverbs 17, chapter 7, I'm sorry, Proverbs 12, chapter 17 through 22. Verses 17 through 22, excuse me.
All right.
Chapter 12. My bad, sorry, Mike.
But he that speaketh the truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is a speaketh like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue is like the wise of the help. The lip is the truth and shall establish forever, but a lying tongue is broken for a moment. Deceit is the heart of the tongue, of that image. Evil, but counselor of peace is joy.
Yeah.
Therefore, there shall no to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying tongues are abomination to the Lord, but they deal truly is delight. This is delight. This is glare.
There's a lot of stuff about lying. Absolutely.
And God doesn't lie, so.
No.
He hates it.
He hates the lie.
That's the first thing when it's right. When the first thing in the
Practice that.
the 6 and 7, that.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, how many other ways can you lie? I mean,
Should
basically,
they-
your
they
tongue
know.
is the way you lie.
There's no such thing as a white lie, no little
Yeah.
lie. This is a lie, it's a lie.
So, you don't have to be spoken unless you're
Yeah, right,
writing it
yeah.
down. Other than that, it comes from your tongue.
Yeah.
Can somebody get Proverbs chapter 17, verse 4?
A wicked doer giveth heed to false lips. A liar giveth ear to a naughty tongue.
Can somebody else get Proverbs chapter 19, verse 5?
I got it. I just want to be involved. A false witness will not go unpunished. And he who speaks lies will not escape.
We all lie every day.
Yes.
Every day.
I
We try not to
I have a statement on that, show me a perfect person, I show you a perfect life.
Exactly. And when we have a perfect person come in here, we have to get in the baptism and walk on that water. If you know that's not gonna happen.
We all live in the world and we have
That's
to
right.
deal with it.
That's right. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna go to Proverbs 19.
I'm not.
And 9, it kind of touches on 5 also. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. Proverbs 19, verse 9. Right down from the last one. Okay, can somebody get Psalms chapter 34 and 13? Yes, ma'am.
Keep thy tongue from evil and thy lips from speaking guile. That's it.
Right. And can somebody get Proverbs 18:21? Proverbs chapter 18, verses 21.
Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Yeah. Somebody also get Proverbs chapter 18, verses 6 through 8.
A fool's lips enter into contention, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his destruction, and his lips are the snares of his soul. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trickles.
Try it.
And they go down into the innermost body.
We're going to go to Psalms 141. I'm reading Psalms chapter 141, verse 3.
Set a light, O Lord, before my house, keep the door of my lips.
Okay, and Psalms, can somebody get Psalms chapter 19, verse 14?
Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord. O Lord, my strength and my redeemer.
Psalm 19,
14.
verse 14. In conclusion, I just wanted to say to you guys, we need to really think of our tongue as our most dangerous weapon that we own.
Yeah.
We should always keep it unloaded. Don't forget to leave the safety on. We need to keep it in check. We should be doing it, using it to encourage and bless other people, praying for other people. Also, remember, we are the salt and light of this earth. We are the example of Christ to the world. Somebody's always watching us.
You made that statement, somebody's always watching, you know who's watching. 24/7.
Somebody's always watching.
The most important.
Right.
I don't care if you're watching or not. So it's true.
You see everything,
No,
you hear it.
That's right.
You see,
No.
Comments?
yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody have comments?
See the balls.
That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good to know we're all in the same boat, we're all in it together.
That's it. You're all the same.
We are, you think about
Yeah, you
it.
are.
Picture boards on the
That's
end of these pews, and there we are, we're all rolling it.
I'm gonna